Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the book Refuge and welcome to another recommendations video. And this is one I haven't filmed in quite a while, and that is one night stand recommendations. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to break some of the rules of what a one night stand is with some of these recommendations because, as I said, I've already made this video and I've made that one with some of my very favorites, but also it's been a while, and also, I've read quite a few more since then. But a couple of these go a little bit more than one night stand, but they all involve maybe, we don't know a lot about the person, or we don't know their identity, or, something like that happens, okay? That's the scenario with that. But let's go ahead and dive in because I'm excited to talk about some of these. And the first one I want to talk about is A Lie for a Lie. And this is the one where I said it kind of breaks the rules because this one is more than a one night stand. It's kind of a month-long stand. But as you can tell by the title, there are a couple lies that are getting told in this scenario, and not in a way that annoys me. So straight up to this one is actually a secret baby. And it's one of my favorite secret babies that I've ever read, okay? Because it follows some of the rules that I'm okay with. So this is actually as well the first one in the All In series by Helena Hunting, and what I love about that is that's really what it is. Like, all of the books in this series, once the people decide to go for the relationship, they're completely in on it, just like it says, and I really like that. So this couple is actually about an NHL team captain who is going incognito for a month. He always goes to stay in Alaska with his brother and go on like a fishing trip up there. And this year, his sister-in-law has gestational diabetes and she is going to be giving birth soon, and his brother isn't able to come with him. And he runs into this woman named Lainey. I didn't even say his name because it didn't say what it was on the back. Rook. Sorry. Also, this is a spinoff from the Puck series too. Alex Waters is like the coach of where they're doing this. So if you love the Puck series, this is a great spinoff series from there. So Rook, he meets this girl Lainey on the plane when they're there, and he actually kind of like holds her hand and helps comfort her in like the small plane that they have to take. And it turns out that he's staying, in this big, beautiful cabin, and she had rented this little cabin that is like not safe for the winter. And they end up kind of actually sharing his cabin and fooling around during the time that he's there. Now, while he's there, he's using a pseudonym because, he is a famous NHL star and he doesn't want anyone to know that. The thing is, she wouldn't have really known that anyway, but when he first introduced himself to her, they're in front of other people, and then he's like, well, it's not really a big deal. He always means to tell her who he is, always means to do that. They have this wonderful weekend together. Again, it's multiple times together. They're together for quite a while. And then something horrible happens, and his sister-in-law goes into labor, and things are not looking good, and so he needs to leave immediately. And he like leaves his information with her, and then I think like one of them loses their phone, or something happens where like they're not able to contact, and she gets pregnant. And it is like a full 18 months later that he actually runs into her when he's at like a birthday party for his teammates at an aquarium where she works. And there we go. So this one, again, it's more than a one night stand one, but I think it follows a lot of those, there's some mystery about them, and I really love how they work it out. I know not everyone who came to a one night stand is expecting secret babies, but also when you go to a one night stand situation, sometimes secret baby comes from that, right? Sometimes that happens. Then we have another one that kind of breaks the rules, but also is one of my favorites ever. And that is actually Ruthless Stranger by Maggie Cole. Yep, I always find a reason to talk about my beautiful Ivanovs and O'Malleys here. This is the book that started it all, and this one is a weekend nightstand, okay? So we have Maxime, who is... his family has connections to the Bratva and the mafia, but they are trying to run a legitimate business and keep their people out of entanglements, but they do still have connections and stuff. And he is in Vegas for a bachelor weekend for it's either a brother or cousin, I can't remember, I think it's his cousin. And there is a woman there named Aspen who she was married for, I think it was like 18 years. She's 38 years old. He's like 46, so this is like an age gap, but I don't really call this one an age gap because, like, to me, when they're both over 30, like, the age gap only means so much. But she's there. She's never been with anyone else but her ex-husband, who just used her and drained her of everything. Like, just drained her of money, drained her of her ambition. And so her girls took her to Vegas for the weekend to have a, like, welcome back to being single. And the girls want her to have a one-night stand with someone, and she's like, I want no strings. I want someone to blindfold me and fuck me within an inch of my life, and I don't ever want to have to deal with the consequences of it. And Maxime happens to overhear this, and he thinks this woman is beautiful, and he hears her story, and so he approaches her friends and actually tells her friends, I would like to do this service for her. So they have this one night stand where she's blindfolded the whole time. And then they actually do it again the next night. And then they both go back to their lives. Because he doesn't want her involved in what he's got going on. And she said that she doesn't want any commitments. Well, that doesn't last too long. That doesn't last them too long. Because they happen to both be from Chicago. And when Maxime and his brothers are trying to get, I can't remember what, it has something to do with their, like, real estate. She works at the office that they're meeting with. And when she hears him speak, and he sees her, and she hears him speak, she knows who he is. And he's like, you know, I was going to try, you know, I was not going to look for you, but now you are literally right in front of me. What am I supposed to do? I have to have you. So, love this. Absolutely. You know, the Mafia readathon is coming up soon. That's going to be a good one. Then I have a couple historicals to share real quick. I have Slightly Wicked by Mary Balogh. This one is book 2. I believe this is book 2 in the... Yes, this is book 2 in the Bedouin series. And this one is about Judith Law, who is a woman who is going to basically be like, I think she's going to be a companion to a cousin, and she is in a stagecoach accident, and Ranulph saves her, and they go to an inn together, and they end up having this, like, weekend nightstand together. But the thing is she's lied about who she is. She's pretending to be an actress and a woman of the world because she wants to have this one chance at pleasure with this man, because she's going to basically be an old maid and be a companion and won't get her time in the sun. And so they have this, and he really wants to actually continue their romance, you know, until they get bored with each other. But of course she can't let him know that she lied, so she sneaks off. And who should show up at the place where she is but him, because he's there to woo her sister or her cousin. He's there to woo her cousin. Sorry, relationships. And he finds out that everything she told him was a lie, and he's not too happy about that. So this is a good one. I'm working my way through this series, and that was a really good one in it. Then Devil in Disguise by Lisa Kleypas. This book was one of my favorite books that I read last year. It is one of my favorite Lisa Kleypas, and it has my favorite Kleypas hero. And this one has a one-night stand. This is about Keir and Lady Merritt Sterling, and Keir is a Scottish whiskey distiller, and Lady Merritt runs her dearly departed husband's shipping business. And when there's an incident with the whiskey getting brought into port, Merritt has to calm down this very riled up Scot, and they instantly have this lightning attraction to each other, this chemistry that you can just feel oozing out of both of them. and they just can't stay away from each other. They keep, you know, and he's very much like, I don't want to ruin this beautiful woman. I need to stay back. And she is just like, I've never felt this before at this level, you know. And they end up having a rendezvous, and it is beautiful. And then something happens, and Keir loses his memory of all of it. And will they still have that same connection? I mean, yes, because it's a romance novel, but I adored this so much. Lisa Kleypas is always a winner for me. Okay, then we have a fanfic, because, you know, as I do, I've been fitting fanfics into my recommendations now, because why not? And I have one that this is kind of sort of a one-night stand. It's more of a one-night stand that got aborted, but then becomes a relationship. And that's going to be Contradictions by Ambperstand. This is like my second favorite fanfic that I've read so far, after, of course, Manacled. And in this situation, we have a Hermione who is having a lot of issues with intimacy, and being the bright witch that she is, she's done some research, and she's decided that BDSM just might be the answer for her. And so she's done all of her research. She found out about this club where they will pair her with a dom, where she can try this out and see if it's for her. And so she goes to meet with this dom. The dom asks her to be blindfolded. She also has done a like spell to kind of like hide what she looks like, but he has asked her to blindfold herself so that they can talk without her being nervous. And what do you know? Things start getting a little frisky. He's fingering her and giving her a little bit of pleasure, and then her mask drops, and she realizes that she is sitting on Draco Malfoy, having come all over his hand, and he realizes that Hermione Granger is this woman that he just fingered. So what was, you know, going to be this interaction at the club ends up being Hermione running away. So again, like I said, this is like an aborted one-night stand, but I thought it would be interesting because it has that hidden identity aspect for that beginning part of it. And then we see where it goes once we know who each other is. And I put it in with this because I feel like it really fits in with that feeling you get from a one-night stand of like not fully knowing who the person is, and then stuff getting revealed to you. Next, we have Getting Played by Emma Chase. And this one is a single mom who is going out for a night on the town with her friends, meets this super hot guy. They dance, they laugh, they drink, they have a one-night stand. Things get a little bit crazy. She ends up getting knocked up and has no idea who this guy was. Well, her son gets in a little bit of trouble in his, well, I don't even think he was in trouble. No, I think it was like parent-teacher conferences is what it was. And she comes in for this parent-teacher conference pregnant, and the teacher of her son is the man who knocked her up. This is what I'm talking about. I love these kind of situations, you know, and this is the one of like, this is a surprise / secret baby, but the woman like didn't choose for this to be a secret baby, but surprise, she's pregnant. And it's her son's math teacher. And then though, this was just really fun. Like this whole series by Emma Chase, there's 3 books in this series. They're like brothers and friends, the 3 guy leads in it. And they were pretty low ink. So like this is fun all the way through. It's a great time. And I just really loved this couple. And yeah, it was a really good time. I love this one. Then there is Duke of Manhattan by Louise Bay, and this one is Scarlet and Ryder. And this one, I don't have a ton to say about this one, but this one was fun because they have this one-night stand, and then they need to have an arranged marriage eventually. For business reasons, they need to get married. So that was kind of cool because it's a one-night stand becomes an arranged marriage. And these books by Louise Bay, I think this one is an Audible Plus option. It was when I listened to it. I don't know if it still is because I don't know when they remove stuff and everything, but I really enjoyed it. Then there is Wilderness by Lynn Burke. Now, this is actually a pretty, like, this is a darker romance. And this whole series by Lynn Burke it's very dark. But in this situation, there is a man who he's going to be going to the wilderness to stay just because he needs to be alone with himself, and he wants to live a life of seclusion, maybe forever, but for sure for a while. And he's having this one-night stand in this small town before there is a charter pilot that he will be meeting to fly him to the location where he will be staying in the wilderness. And yeah, so he has this one night stand in town, and the next morning he wakes up late and has to like ditch out of there. He has to ditch out on this woman that he slept with to make it to the plane. Well, this woman that he ditched out on is his pilot. So that makes for an awkward flight to his location. And then she is the person who will be like bringing him supplies at different times. And they go through some pretty dark stuff. There are bears, there are his demons, and there are tragedies. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes on. This has a little bit of survivalist aspects to it. Like I said, this series is pretty dark, but I really enjoyed it at the same time. So there you go. And then the last one that I wanted to mention is Condemned to Love by Siobhan Davis. This is a mafia romance. This is the first book in the Malzone family, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But this one was very interesting because this was a sister's ex-boyfriend. And it's also a pretty big age gap. Like she first meets him when I think she is like 13. Well, she knows him before that, but like she's in love with him from the time she was 13 and he was like 21. And he's her sister's boyfriend. And then he disappears and we don't know why. And it skips ahead to when she's turning 21. So it's like maybe she was 14 in that, because she's turning 21 and she's in Vegas with her girlfriends, and her family is very wealthy. She's kind of the child who's the most unloved. I don't know how to say it, but she's considered the black sheep, not very paid attention to. But her family pays for her to go to Vegas with a couple of her friends. And while she's there, her friend starts flirting with the wrong crew, and they end up getting rounded up, and they're going to be the entertainment for a mafia meeting that's about to happen. Like, she's really beautiful, and so is her friend, and they get scooped up and brought into this. And they're going to be raped by these men. That's what's going to happen. When they are getting dragged into here, we then switch to the hero's perspective, which is Ben, who is her sister's ex-boyfriend. And the reason he disappeared is because he found out when he was 18, is what he was, that he was the illegitimate son of a mafia don. And when his father's legitimate son died, I think that's where I'm going with this. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. He was called on because he needed an heir, and so he was brought in. So he shows up at this meeting and sees the woman who used to be this girl who had a crush on him, who he did care about, as a young girl. He didn't have inappropriate feelings back then, but now she's here. She's this beautiful girl, and he knows they're in a very bad situation. And so he sets it up that he is going to fake rape her. This is not a rape. She completely consents to this. She's actually really into it, but they have to pretend, because he pretends that she's a gift to him. But he actually does rape her, or not. He has sex with her. He doesn't rape her. Sorry, let's be clear. This doesn't have dubious consent, but they have to pretend. So she has to pretend that. And then this one is actually a secret baby as well. Okay. So she's now been shown who this man really is. She's terrified, but then she goes back home. He's very cruel to her to get her to leave, because he's like, I can't be in love with anyone. This was a dangerous situation for her to be in. So he's mean to her. He's very cruel to her. And she goes home and she's sad, and she finds out she's pregnant. So she finds out where he really lives, and she gets her bodyguard to take her there to see him. And when she goes to tell him that she's pregnant, she sees him murder someone. And she's like, I'm out. So she leaves. She never tells him. she has the baby, but then we skip 7 years. So this book has a couple things I don't normally like. You know, I don't normally like secret baby, and I don't normally like a time jump, but, you know, my rules kind of are like, if you're terrified and it's a mafia situation, you can take your baby and run. And I feel that way quite a bit. And specifically for this one, he was already mean to her and she was still going to tell him. And then she saw him murder someone and she's like, I'm out. So I forgive her for that. And I really love this book. This was a 5-star read for me. So anyway, there you go. Those are some one-night stands / hidden identities / I didn't know you were my son's teacher recommendations for you. Let me know your favorite one-night stands. Again, I'll have it saved up there. I've made this video before as well, which, you know, has one of my favorite books of all time, is also a one-night stand. And make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I put up recommendation videos, Outlander recaps, Bridgerton chats, all that fun stuff. That's what you'll be getting into if you subscribe to the Booktube. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!